Have you ever worried about smelling a little off after a long day? We live in an age of daily showers, deodorant, and a million scented products. But what if I told you that just a few centuries ago, people thought being too clean could actually kill you? Let's take a trip back to Colonial America, a time when body odor was just a part of everyday life. You might be surprised by how they dealt with it and why they smelled the way they did. Forget everything you know about hygiene, because we're about to dive into the stinky, sweaty, and fascinating world of the 17th and 18th centuries. So, why didn't colonial folks just hop in the tub every day? Well, first off, it was a massive amount of work. There was no running hot water. To take a bath, you'd have to haul buckets of water from a well or river, heat it over a fire, and pour it into a wooden tub, which was often the same one used for laundry. This process could take hours, used a ton of firewood, and was a huge household chore. After all that effort, the whole family might even end up using the same bath water, one after another. But the biggest reason for avoiding baths was fear. The prevailing medical idea at the time was the miasma theory. People believed that diseases were spread by bad air or foul-smelling vapors. They thought that soaking in hot water would open up the pores of your skin, making you vulnerable to these dangerous miasmas and letting sickness right into your body. A full body bath was seen as a risky medical procedure, something you might do a few times a year for health reasons, but certainly not for simple cleanliness. So, while we see a daily shower as a healthy routine, they saw it as rolling out the welcome mat for plague and pestilence. If they weren't bathing, how on earth did they stay clean? The answer, surprisingly, is laundry. Specifically, linen undergarments. People in the colonial era, at least those who could afford it, wore linen shifts or shirts right next to their skin. Linen is a fantastic fabric. It's highly absorbent and dries quickly. The belief was that this linen layer would act like a sponge, drawing sweat, oils, and all the impurities out of the body. To be considered clean, you didn't wash your body. You changed your linen. A wealthy person might change their linen undergarments every single day, while someone less fortunate might do so once a week. The outer clothes, made of expensive materials like wool or silk, were rarely washed. They were brushed, aired out, and spot cleaned. So the concept of cleanliness was focused entirely on what was touching the skin. The fresh white linen was a visible status symbol, signaling that you were healthy and refined. It was their version of deodorant and a shower all rolled into one. Your social standing could literally be judged by the brightness of your collar and cuffs. But let's be real, clean linen can only do so much. The underlying body odor was still there, and it needed to be dealt with. Since they couldn't eliminate the source of the smell, they focused on covering it up. This was the golden age of masking scents. Wealthy men and women would douse themselves in powerful perfumes and colognes. These weren't the subtle, delicate scents we have today. They were heavy, musky, and floral concoctions designed to overpower any unpleasant odors. Think lavender, rose, citrus, and spices. People also used scented powders on their skin and in their elaborate wigs to absorb moisture and add a pleasant fragrance. Another popular tool was the pomander. This was a small metal ball, often beautifully decorated, filled with aromatic substances like ambergris, musk, cloves, or dried flowers. People would carry these around or hang them in their homes to create a bubble of fragrant air around them, a personal defense against the stenches of the world, including their own. The goal wasn't to smell like nothing. It was to smell like something expensive and pleasant, instead of just human. Now, what about that dreaded morning breath? Oral hygiene was definitely a concern, but their methods were a bit different from our minty fresh routines. Toothbrushes did exist, but they were luxury items. Most people used a rough linen cloth, sometimes dipped in salt or soot, to rub their teeth clean. Soot, the black powder from a fireplace, sounds disgusting, but it's abrasive and actually worked to scrub away plaque. People also chewed on twigs from specific trees, like dogwood, to clean their teeth and freshen their breath. For mouthwash, they'd use water mixed with herbs like mint or rosemary, or sometimes even a splash of a strong spirit like brandy. Tooth powders were also concocted from some pretty strange ingredients, like crushed oyster shells, chalk, or even brick dust. While these abrasive materials could clean the teeth, they also wore down the enamel over time, leading to decay. Tooth decay was rampant, and the only real solution for a bad tooth was to have it pulled by a barber surgeon or a blacksmith with no anesthetic. So, while they tried their best, keeping a full set of healthy teeth was a real challenge. So, with all this sweat, limited bathing, and rudimentary dental care, didn't everyone just think everyone else smelled terrible? Well, no, not really. The key thing to remember is that this was the norm for everybody. When a certain level of body odor is a universal human experience, it stops being offensive. The smells of unwashed bodies, perfume powders, wood smoke, and livestock were just a background scent of life. They were far more concerned with the life-threatening stenches of sewage, garbage, and disease, which they believed could actually make them sick. A person's natural scent was simply not a major social concern in the way it is today. Our modern obsession with being completely odor-free is a very recent development, driven by advertising and the availability of products that our colonial ancestors couldn't even dream of. They lived in a different sensory world, one where the smell of a healthy, hard-working human body was just part of the atmosphere. So, to wrap it all up, colonial Americans weren't dirty or lazy. They were just operating under a completely different set of rules. They feared bathing, put their faith in the cleansing power of linen, masked odors with powerful scents, and scrubbed their teeth with soot and twigs. Their world was undoubtedly smellier than ours, but it was a shared experience that bonded them. It reminds us that our ideas of what is clean or normal are constantly changing. So next time you're enjoying a hot shower, spare a thought for your colonial ancestors. They'd probably think you were taking a huge, crazy risk with your health. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this trip back in time interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the weird and wonderful parts of history. See you next time.